Hello everybody, Buddy with Midland, Texas. I'm going to do a little video this morning off a Facebook post. It's really actually sad, and I seen it. It was a friend of mine that I went to school with. I've known most all my life, and I'm going to show you here. Brad Reynolds had wrote. He said, well, yesterday was the day I've been putting off, waiting for the past 6 months. Had doctor appointment to schedule surgery and have my hand amputated on May 23rd. It's the best option for me moving forward. It's not the outcome that I wanted, but it's the one that I got. Thank you all for the prayers and everything else the past 2 years. I couldn't have made it this far without y'all. Love you. And you know, it's terribly sad, you know, until you're in that position, you can't even imagine, you know, because amputation's forever, you know, and you know, it's just, I can relate. I mean, I can relate. Anyway, I wrote on his Facebook right here, I said, please pray for my friend. I told him that I'm really sorry about this, Brad. I vividly remember the day the doctors came into my hospital room after the murder attempt and asked me to make the choice to allow them to amputate my leg or not. I said no, thanks to clues from my dad, and now I know they were trying to cut off the evidence of this home invasion and failed murder. That's a hard decision, and I'm praying for you. Okay. And so that's really what this video is going to be about. I'm going to show you some of this evidence and what happened here. Okay, I said this is my first comment. I was in the hospital 10 days, and as seen on these medical record statements, the doctors tried very hard to get me to agree to a below-the-knee amputation. I believe they desperately wanted to cut off the evidence, and I feel sure that if we had a real investigation, it would show these doctors knew about the $1 million underground homes at my home, and they probably knew that police were under my home when somebody under my home had cut my phone lines and shot me in a premeditated murder attempt. A few weeks before this murder attempt, the ex-wife had told me with 100% sincerity, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit. And I've long suspected that some of those doctors were the ones that she was talking about. She was dead serious. I believed her then, I believe it now. If my murder had been ruled an accident by her grade school friend, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, then she was going to get this very special and paid for home along with around $500,000 in life insurance. This was instead of getting nothing from a marriage that had lasted 3 months and a separation based on the belief that she was working with the prostitution ring. Unbeknown to me at the time, her brother-in-law was my ER doctor, and he was the one there when it's proven they had faked my x-rays. Still secret lab tech user-in interface took the x-rays of a guy that I believe was shot with the shotgun 11 days before me and then put my name on them. This guy was missing his heel bone, so they took me into surgery and cut off my heel bone. These repeated and desperate attempts to talk me into allowing a BKA, or below-the-knee amputation, came after the partial amputation they had done to cover up this home invasion and failed murder. These doctors are still working in spite of the evidence, just like the police that were under my home when somebody under my home had shot me. I'm going to show you here. I went through the medical records. Okay, this is where I've got this here where they're blocked. Each one are different days, different statements. They're dated. You know, I still have the medical records. This happened on this day, and I was in the hospital 10 days. Actually, it says in the hospital from 1/28/12 to 2/7/12, and each one of these are separate statements where amputation, aka BK, was written on the report. The doctors tried and tried and tried to get me to agree to a below-the-knee amputation, but I kept saying no, thanks to clues from my dad that something fishy was going on. They were trying to cut off the evidence. Okay, and so that's what each one of them showing, like that, where I've got it underlined on the top one. These were, you know, the medical records. It says an attempt was made to place him because we thought the police department required that he not go home. I thought that was interesting, right? And why would that be? Because there's an underground home in the backyard. Then they're pouring concrete, covering up the underground home where I was shot from, etc., right? I offered this patient a right below-the-knee amputation, okay? I explained that I thought he might linger with this for quite a while and then require amputation later. He declined that. He understood that I still recommend amputation. That was just on one comment on one day. Here's another day. I believe that he has a major problem, may very well require a below-the-knee amputation. That's another comment on another day. He does not wish to have amputation, so the doctors also, to see if a limb can be salvaged, the patient has been warned that it's not likely, okay? That was a kidney doctor. It's a different doctor. I discussed the problem with the patient patient. He understands, I believe his foot may not be useful. He will consider right PKA for the second look. Okay, that's another day. Okay, here's another day right here. We had further discussions regarding continued wound care versus BKA. We agreed to re-IID on Wednesday. He will consider a bit below the knee amputation. That's where I'm talking about. They come in and, you know, I had to make the decision. And they were strongly trying to get me to agree to this below the knee amputation. Every day they were talking about it. Okay, patient declines amputation time in favor of attempt to save a useful. He understands he's likely to require amputation in the future. Okay, and then here we go. Not willing to have a BKA placement required by the police. And there's another interesting comment by the police. Okay, police were working with the doctors. I feel sure about that, trying to get me to cut off my leg. Okay, I put a link to a video here. Y'all can watch it if you want. It's got Dr. Glass's wife, and I have multiple videos showing the proof, multiple proofs showing that they faked my x-rays. It's not a theory. It's absolute fact. There's no doubt about it. I mean, they're just allowing it to happen. You know, I mean, that's really what I've learned all along, that evidence means nothing. Evidence no longer means nothing. Proof, nothing. They can break in your home, kill you. It doesn't matter. You have no recourse. You can't go to the press. They won't report it, and the police, you know, they won't do anything. And that's the Texas Rangers, the FBI, DHS, elected officials, you name it. You know, and this cover up is just all the way to the top. Okay. The lifelong friend of the ex-wife, Detective Rosie Rodriguez, mentions amputation on the police report, and I believe this was because she was working with the doctors to try and cut off my leg, as she knew it was evidence in this home invasion and failed murder attempt. That it could expose the fact that police were under my home when somebody under my home had cut my phone lines and shot me in a premeditated, cold-blooded murder attempt. Imagine cutting off the leg of an innocent crime victim to cover up a failed murder. These people are monsters. There is no doubt about that. These people are monsters. Okay, here I'm going to show you here. This is from the police records, and I'm making a point that Detective Rosie Rodriguez, the grade school buddy of the ex-wife that's alleged to be involved in the murder attempt, puts this on here about amputation in the police report. And I believe that she was wanting them to cut off my leg because it was proof. She knew it was evidence. And I believe 100% she knew that this was a murder attempt, and she was trying to cover it up. In December 2013, I testified under oath at the protective order hearing that the ex-wife had told me about these serial-killing doctors, and it was ignored. I believe they will find out the doctors who are now proven to have faked my x-rays and they did a partial amputation are the same ones that are killing people for profit. Keep that in mind. She didn't say killing Buddy for profit. She said people. That's man, woman, and child. There's no reason to even think they stopped. There's nobody trying to stop them. And like I said, they can get caught and keep on going. That's what's happening. Here, this is in the 318th Judicial Court. This is the transcript, part of the transcript, and I'm testifying, and I said, she said, the secret is that a group of doctors are killing people for profit, you know. Well, what she never said the entire time we was married, that her brother-in-law was a doctor. And amazingly, he was my doctor on the night that I was shot. That's when we know the x-rays were faked. When it's proven. Not a theory, it's proven. I also told Texas Ranger Strain about the ex-wife telling me about these serial-killing doctors in the 70-plus fact-filled emails that I'd sent him. He also got evidence for the medical crimes, suspected murder of the previous owner, Mike Lohan, the murder of Haley Dunn, and other crimes and murders. He ignored all of it and did nothing at all. Okay, this was the emails, and see what was happening is I was writing Attorney General Paxton. He suggests that I contact the Texas Rangers Public Integrity Unit, the PIU, okay? So I did. And then they pulled a quick one and they assigned a local Texas Ranger Strain. They didn't want me to talk to the PIU is what was happening. And they put this Strain on here and I sent him these emails and he just ignored them all, you know? This was one of his rare comments back out of the 70 emails. How would a doctor make money killing people, you know? And then I was telling him, you know, what she had told me, 100% sincerity, he's sick of this doctor. But I'd also send him all that other evidence too, you know. I said, I don't know, why don't you ask her? You know, and I reminded him, I sent him a recording of it where she tried to extort $1,800 a month from me. Why don't you use that against her and leverage her and go, we're going to throw you in jail if you don't tell us about these doctors, you know. But I mean, it's hard to figure out. As far as I can tell, maybe Strain was under my house, you know. I highly suspect the Ranger Strain knows about these $1 million underground homes. If he does, then he knows about the murders and he's trying to cover them up too. Based on the things said, I believe the ex-wife was working with a prostitution ring, and in fact, she told me that it was a family business. I've long suspected the underground homes were being used for prostitution. This is what I testified to under oath. Okay, this is more transcript from the court testimony, you know, and here's the question. Has so-and-so ever asked, indicated to you that it doesn't want to have any contact? No, I don't know of. Not until I got this order. I haven't talked to her in a year and a half. I haven't. I got a protective order. I hadn't talked to her in a year and a half. I hadn't seen her or talked to her. She lived 100 miles away. It was an absurdity in the first place. Now, previously, you said that you had suspected her of being a prostitute. Do you recall in December of 2011 speaking to her about that? I said, yes, there was a few conversations, and we did, like I said, argue over this point several times. She came in one day, and she said, they pay you by the hour, the minute, or the day, and I just worked 2 days, and I'm tired. Okay, and keep in mind, she was a nurse, and nurses don't get paid by the minute. Okay, another conversation, and by the way, she was a nurse, and she isn't paid by the minute. Also, if you want to say accused her breath of smelling like semen. And then on another conversation, this was referenced in the order was, oh, I want to know who the pimps, the tricks, and the drug dealers are. And she said, it's a family business, you know. And just about a week before the murder attempt, the ex-wife was here at my house. We was loading her stuff up in the garage there. And I told her, I said, I know about the tunnels. I already called the DEA. Of course, I didn't know the DEA wasn't going to look, and, you know, they were going to try to murder me, shoot me a week later. But she thinks about what I'm saying. She's thinking, oh, the police are going to come over and they're going to bust this thing. You know, I know that's what she's thinking because I told her I called the DEA. I know about the tunnels. And then she looks me in the eye and real slowly says, I'm not a part of a prostitution ring. I didn't say anything about prostitution. I said I knew about the tunnels. You know, that was confirmation to me. That's what the tunnels were being used for, the underground homes. They're being used for prostitution, organized prostitution, organized crime, human trafficking, sex trafficking. You know, that's what I believe these $1 million underground homes, multiple people have said were being used for. There wasn't enough physical room for me to be shot with a shotgun in the tiny utility room where it happened. Yet I was seeing these x-rays of a foot full of shotgun pellets. It's now proven that I was shot by somebody standing under my home with a .45 handgun loaded with a Glazier safety slug, which is a plastic tip pellet filled bullet. They had chosen this special ammunition so they could make it appear that I've been shot with my shotgun, thereby ruling my murder an accident. Multiple pieces of evidence on there. I got multiple videos and stories on this. This one right here is just about the size of pellets. The size of pellets removed from my foot were 2.5 size. That's what the chart's showing up there. And there it's showing the shotgun shell with the size of pellets in the lab report. And that's what I'm showing. And then I'm showing here it's a plastic tip pellet-filled bullet's what I believe I shot one. And the size of pellets in it actually match what was removed from my foot, you know. And then the surgeon stated that he removed a large amount of plastic from the wound. And, you know, it wouldn't have been there if I'd shot myself with a 12 gauge, but I was shot with this special ammunition right here. Lisa Rogers told me I was shot with a .45 handgun, okay? That's why I believe I was shot with a .45. You know, I have somebody that actually told me that. And then there's a lot more other evidence of the multiple people saying tunnels, underground homes are here. Burglar alarms going in the attic. Now 50 other homeowners reporting people in the attic. The CSI, the crime scene investigator, he checked in 4 live shells from my shotgun, but he didn't check in an empty shell. And anybody knows anything about guns knows that empty shell would have been in that gun if I had shot myself with that gun. And I didn't shoot myself with that gun. Somebody had shot me with the .45 with the Glazier safety slug. They were standing under my home waiting for me to walk by and pulled the trigger. This is premeditated, cold-blooded murder. They cut my phone lines and didn't plan on me surviving. A ruling of accidental death by the lifelong friend of the ex-wife, Rosie Rodriguez, would have given her this special paid-for home plus around $500,000 in accidental death insurance. She had taken my life insurance books with her when we separated a few weeks earlier, and her former boyfriend, Arthur Welch, posted on Facebook that he overheard her planning my murder with her police friends to steal life insurance, okay? And my sister-in-law said she saw them life insurance books with the ex-wife while they were gone. She can confirm it. Here's Arthur. He posted on his Facebook, you know. Cops were recorded hiding evidence and laughing about this man being shot. I was dating this guy's ex-wife when I overheard her talking. From the things I heard, she had tried to have him killed for insurance money. And to hear how many police were involved, one her longtime personal friend. I won't let Buddy Webb be laughed at. Her final words to me was, I will have you shot too. That's the boyfriend of the ex-wife, posts on Facebook, okay? I have a picture of my foot taken 2 weeks after the murder attempt, but I'm not allowed to post it on my Facebook because it's too graphic. 2 weeks, 17 days after. I went to the hospital with 2 small holes in my foot, and I left with a back cut off, a large hole cut in the side, and lies spread saying that I'd shot myself with my own shotgun, and them x-rays faked. They cut me and tried to make it look like I've been shot at point-blank range with a 12 gauge, when it's now known that I was shot with from point-blank range with a .45 handgun loaded with a Glazier safety slug. This is what I walk on today. This is the rest of my life, okay? This was the partial amputation where they cut off my heel bone. Your calcaneus bone was cut off. And keep in mind, you know, there's a reason for that, okay? Here's the backside, here's the other. And there's lifelong consequences for the victims of violent crimes, and that's all there is to it. The faking of my x-rays and the intentional maiming, mutilation, and partial amputation wasn't planned in advance, as it's clear they planned on me dying when they cut my phone lines and shot me from point-blank range by surprise. When I returned from the hospital, I found that the police had tried to disable my bedroom security camera, but accidentally started it without them knowing. This picture shows Detective Rosie Rodriguez leaned over my nightstand where I found my stolen cell phone planted. Based on the timestamps, it looks like Rosie Rodriguez and April Chandler waited for the other officers to leave my bedroom before planting my phone that had been stolen before I'd been shot. As seen, Rosie then makes up a lie on the police report and says that I told her my phone wasn't charged, but I never said that. And in fact, I had a fully charged cordless phone in my pocket that also didn't work because they had disconnected my home phone lines too. Rosie was excuse making and knew they had tried to murder me by cutting my phone lines and then shooting me by surprise in my own home. I was home and minding my own business. My murder was planned in advance. There's no doubt about it. No, absolutely no doubt about it. I wasn't shot with my gun. And so here's this picture, and as I just read to you, that this camera in my bedroom, the log files show that the police tried to disable it and accidentally started it. They didn't know it was working. And then so I've got a whole group of pictures. That was the secret police pictures. But this one right here, it was after almost towards the end. All the other police are gone from my bedroom. It looks like Rosie and April waited for all the other police to leave my bedroom before Rosie is leaned over my nightstand right here. That's where my stolen cell phone was planted, behind the nightstand. You see her leaned over there, and I believe she was planting that stolen cell phone right there. I believe that picture's what shows it right there, that they waited for the other police to leave my room. And the confirmation came from the police report when I saw she made up this lie. Here we go. I contacted Buddy in the exam room at the ER, identified myself, asked Buddy to tell me what occurred. He stated he lived 30 out 2. He was locking up for the night. Buddy advised me to make sure all doors are locked before bed. Okay. Buddy said he has 12 gauge leaning against the wall in the kitchen, but stated he was going to lock the door leading from the kitchen to the garage when his gun fell and went off. That was all a lie. See, the ER nurse, she documented what I said. Burglar alarms were going off over and over. That's what I was saying. I was under home invasion, but Rosie was making up a lie saying Buddy said he was locking up for the night, knocked his gun over and shot himself. Buddy didn't say that. She lied, and the proof came from the ER nurse that documented what I was saying. You know, and if that ER nurse wouldn't have done it, it'd been my word against her word, and you know how that works. A group of police officers against me, right? But now we know the truth. She made it up. Okay, she said Buddy said his phone was not charged, so he went outside and screamed for help. That was a lie. Buddy never said his phone was not charged. I had a fully charged cordless phone in my pocket, and the only reason I had it because my cell phone had been stolen, but the cordless phone didn't work because they cut my phone lines. Okay, let's don't finish. Buddy was delusional. Okay, here's Rosie planting my stolen cell phone, and she was excuse making. Is what she was doing. She was planting that phone, trying to cover up this premeditated for-profit. Her buddy was going to be rich as soon as they ruled my murder an accident. That's what was going on here. This is a for-profit murder, and God saved my life. Praise God. And can I get a hallelujah? Talk to you later.